All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me on this. It's pretty nice today, actually. It's a nice sunny day here in Florida. I hope you guys have clear skies over there. I actually been monitoring the weather over in New York because I fly out today, and I'm going from. Right now it's about 78 here, and I'm going into 44 degrees. So it's going to be a bit of a drop. And looking at the week forecast, it's supposed to snow tomorrow, which is cool. I'm cool with the snow, especially that I don't have to drive. I'm not going to have a car there. I don't have to drive. Um, which is awesome. And it's waiting until tomorrow, so I will be landed already with no snowstorms. So thank God for that. Thank God. Um, yeah, Brandon, what snow? It's been a long time for me. I will say that it's been about 3 years since I've seen snow, and I'm sure it's been even longer for many of you here. Um, Everything is bigger in Texas except snowman. That's awesome. However, I went to Texas this time last year. I went to see one of my best friends. She from high school. Of course, we lived in New York, and she lives in Katy, which is about an hour outside of Houston, and it was cold. It was definitely cold. So they were having like a cold front there, definitely, when I was there in February. Crystal, I'm sorry about that. It's one of those days where you just want to crawl up on the couch with a good book or Netflix, one of those. And yes, Brandon, when it's cold, it's cold. You know, a lot of people make fun of Floridians because they get so cold. But if you think about it, if during the day is in the 80s and then it drops down to 50 at night, that's a significant difference in temperature. And of course, you're going to feel cold. Oh, I wish I had Uggs. My sister-in-law does, so hopefully she'll let me borrow them. Okay, so why did I bring you here on a Wednesday? Well, usually we have, I usually make my weekly wrap-up sessions on Friday, but obviously I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in New York. So I wanted to make sure that you guys had everything that you needed before I go away. Um, while we're on the subject, I will preface that um, my emails will be forwarded to two of my my most awesome team members. And this will be in the announcement and the email that I send out to you with the recorded link to this session. So you'll have their email address. In case you do email me, you'll get a message back just saying that it's forward to one of them. So no worries, you're going to be covered and you'll get your questions answered. All of the grades are done for week 1, so by now you have received feedback from me from your first discussions and that TED analysis that you did for week 1. For week 3, since I'm not going to be here to talk to you live, you will have archive sessions that I've done in the past. Now, it's pretty much all the same information. It goes according to the weeks. However, there's some things that are mentioned in there, like I'll say things are due, and I may mention the date, like January, whatever. Obviously, you guys are in February, and you don't have to pay attention to that. So if you would, make sure that you also review what I write in the announcements. The only changes is just those dates. So don't get confused over dates. The content and the information, all the concepts that we go over is the same. So no worries on that. Don't get too confused. Just make sure you use all the assets that are provided for you. And week 3 is really, if you're doing your job in this week, and we're gonna review the planning stage, if you are doing your job this week, week 3 is taking all that information and taking that feedback and starting to build. So get excited that you are going from the ideation stage of getting your ideas out on paper, and then you're starting to build. And you have each other. I want you to reach out to each other as much as possible. So know that things are set in place in week 3 to continue to build that community and reach out to each other. The best thing that you can do through this whole process is share what you're coming up with, share your build with each other, and get feedback, get that constructive feedback. Remember that you guys are in a unique position being in the first month class. You have all of these different degree programs in here. You have all this different level of skill. So there might be someone that is a badass editor, just knows the programs inside and out and can get it done. There's strong writers in here. If you looked at the discussion boards, there are wordsmiths in this section that really understand what it takes to build a visual story using words. So utilize those assets. Your peers are assets to you, and the more that you do share, the more that you do interact, the more that you elicit that feedback, the better you will become. Because feedback works both ways, and it enhances the growth for both parties, whether you're giving and receiving feedback. So reach out to each other as much as possible. Okay, so what I brought you here today is, again, we'll go over some of the concepts that we didn't get to go over the first night, which kind of makes me happy in a way, because I feel like time goes so fast in our sessions, and before we know it, the 2 hours is up on a Monday night. And what that means to me is that we're conversating with each other and we're sharing, and that's really important. That's almost as important as any other thing that you'll encounter in this class. Having that connection and learning from each other. I think that is a key component, especially the first month, and then it's something that you can carry with you throughout your entire journey here at Full Sail. So I love it. Without further ado, because this session is only scheduled for an hour, of course I have some last minute things that I have to put together before I go on my way, and I want to make sure that this video renders and gets posted and you have access to it. So let's get started. if in the readings for this week, and of course it's only Wednesday, so you're in the middle of starting to read your chapters, but Nancy talks about the presentation ecosystem. And this is really an ecosystem is levels or steps or strategies that works together and build off each other. So in this ecosystem, we call it the three-legged stool. And that's message, visual story, and delivery. We mentioned some of this on Monday night when we were talking about the plan. So some of this is going to be kind of a review for those of you that came live on Monday or got a chance to watch the recorded session. But it really is kind of self-explanatory. So you have message, and since day one, pretty much since day one, we were talking about the importance of audience. We definitely went more in depth in our second session together, but knowing that audience is the key. The audience is the hero. They're the ones that are ultimately going to make the decision by the end of our presentation, whether it is to follow you, to hire you, or to invest in you. You're getting them to make a decision. So identifying your audience and knowing who you are speaking to is a key component. Starting there, everything else follows. Once you know who you're talking to, once you know how you could adjust and adapt, everything else becomes organized. And then you have ideation. We were talking about this Monday night, how ideation is really that brainstorming. It is the first step of thinking about your idea, thinking about, okay, well, where am I going to go? What can I do in order to make this happen? So these are your sticky notes, and I gave that brief story about being an undergrad and even on the master's degree that if you walked into my home office, you would think that I was crazy because I had books and sticky notes and notebooks like all over the place. It was almost like a beautiful mind, minus writing on the walls. So ideation is really what is the first step. It's brainstorming. It's getting your ideas and your wheels flowing. Yes, I love my organized chaos as well, Angel. I'm right there with you. And of course, after ideation, now it's time to write. Now it's time to elaborate on these ideas. Now you have all these different avenues but they're only concepts. So you want to be able to connect them to something that is tangible, remembering that as the mentor, you are the guide. You're guiding your audience through your presentation. You're inviting them on this journey with you. And sometimes we assume that our message is getting out the way that it is in our head, and we assume that they understand what we're trying to say, but that's not always the case. It doesn't always translate. So it's up to us to look at it objectively and make sure that we're providing those details in order to support our ideas and make sure that we do it in a way that the person that is going to read our plans, whether it is the person next to you, or it's your friend or your spouse, even one of your peers in class, keep in mind would they be able to build a presentation based on the plan that I gave to them? And if you question, that means you have to incorporate more detail. So, as you can see, with all the legs in the stool, Nancy uses the word critique, which I'm okay with it to a certain extent. I just feel like critique, it has this negative connotation to it. So I like the word feedback better. I like the word constructive feedback so much better than critique. But know that it's on each leg because of its importance and because of how supportive it is to your growth, to your evolution. And it may take a little bit extra time, but it's worth it. It's worth to say, hey, can you take a look at this for me? Could you just read this over? Can you tell me, do you know who my audience is based on what I wrote? And it will give you those tools to either run with the idea that you came up with, or go back and reconfigure what you came up with. Kendrick, I am seeing that's my problem, what you just said. Unfortunately, I was paying attention to the screen, so I'm not too sure what that comment's for. Do you have like a question, or is it that you need to practice formulating ideas or detail? Okay, if you do have a question, you can always use the raise your hand button, which is right underneath all of the names. I'll be more than happy to do that for you. Okay, the next leg of the stool is the visual story. So now you have everything on paper, and you have to understand or reflect, okay, what does this look like? What does this whole journey look like? What is it gonna look like to my audience? I have what I want to do in my head, but what is the big picture? What does this look like? What is my ultimate goal by the end of this presentation? What do I want my audience to do? What decision do I want them to make? If asked what my presentation was about, what do I want them to say? And that's visual thinking. It's not only in terms of using images, it's how you come up with your wording, painting the picture with your words, and what your ideas look like to the person that you're presenting to, or the people that you're presenting to. Then, of course, graphic design. And in week 3, it's more of design. It's more talking about the concepts in slidology that you are going to read about. Graphic design is important because this is the complements to your narrative. And you have to pay attention to what it is that you're putting behind you. You know, is it necessary? Is it relevant? Does it connect to the message that you're trying to convey? Is there balance? Is there too many things going on that will create confusion? And again, this is something that we're going to talk about more in week 3 when you start to build. Right now, you guys are at the message stage where you're doing this ideation and you're writing. The visual story, although you need to keep this in mind when you are planning, it comes more into play when you start to build. Motion design isn't just about transitions in your slide. It's about the flow of your presentation. So we talked in Monday about the flow, and starting from week 1 pretty much gave you the arc of a story, having a strong beginning, middle, and end. So what does that look like? Now you invited this audience on a journey. How is it going? How are you going to guide them? How are you going to navigate through the presentation? And that has to do with motion design. And of course, we have that constructive feedback at the end. And week 3, you're going to have a lot of that opportunity to reach out to your peers and let them look at your build and what you're coming up with. And the last leg is delivery. So you have this term called human. And again, this is all in the chapters that you're going to read. So if I'm going a little fast, I apologize, but this is all in the chapters. Human. Now, you have a slight difference being an online student because you aren't in front of the classroom. You aren't going to be presenting live. Although I may or may not give you an opportunity to do a session like this to practice. But human has to do with hand gestures and eye contact, the tone of your voice, the welcoming your audience. So the human element is just that. It's your, going back to the Julian Treasure's HAIL method, the honesty, authenticity, integrity, and love, and the way that you present yourself, that connection. And I see that I have a question. Quick question about the audience for our presentation. Is our specific audience for this project a hypothetical audience we create, or our peers in the class? Great question. And it's always, it's brought up like every single month. So before we close out today, I'm going to go through the 3 different avenues that you can choose for this assignment. And your audience, although your peers in class might be subjected to watching your presentation, if you want that, your audience is going to be the CEO in Pixar, or the head of gaming development in Naughty Dog. So it's going to be specific to what choice that you make, if that makes sense. Then you have web or devices. Of course, you want to look at what you need in order to put this presentation together. So, that includes everything, like how you're going to record your voice, what programs are you going to use. Do you need a certain platform? Is it available online? Are you making a video that needs to be uploaded to a host session, like YouTube or Vidler or Remo? So this, it's part of your plan to realize what you need. Okay. A star moment is something they'll always remember. Now, this can happen at many different pivotal points in your presentation. But a star moment is that wow, it's really showing your audience what you are capable of and what you can do. There's different ways that you can do this, and it can happen more than once in your presentation. So going back to week 1 and the idea of that spark line that Nancy talks about, if you are doing this correctly and you're modeling your presentation by that idea, you're building that tension, and you have those pivotal points in your presentation to captivate your audience and keep their attention. So the 5 different types of star moments, we have a memorable dramatization, repeatable sound bites, evocative visuals, emotive storytelling, and shocking statistics. So these are the 5 main types of star moments. The first one, I'm sure you guys have been subjected to those infomercials. Have we been come into contact with infomercials? You know, you have those nights where you can't sleep, and anything that is on television is those infomercials. So this is memorable dramatization. It's in your face. They're building this scenario to get you to be like, oh yeah, I need that. So it's, you know, have you ever been in this situation where there's spills on the floor? Well, ShamWow is the tool that you need. But that's not all. If you act now in 14 minutes, within 14 minutes, you won't get just 1, you won't get just 2, but you'll get 3 for the low price of $39.95. And it paints this scenario to make the consumer relate to this situation and take out their wallets and be like, yes, I need that. I need to act now. Does that make sense? So yes, a gimmick. So it depends. You know, what is your, will you have a gimmick? Will you have this unique thing to give your audience? Do you have a scenario that you will invite them into to get them to be in your shoes? Get them to think like, yeah, we need this person. Like, we're idiots if we don't hire this person. So memorable dramatizations could be very effective. Repeatable sound bites. We all know who this is, or hopefully we know who this is. God rest his soul. But, you know, flow like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Everybody knows that because it was his confidence. It was his demeanor, and he would repeat this in many speeches that he did before fights, and it was to get in the opponent's head. Some may view it as cockiness, but others view it as genius, because he would get into your head. And absolutely, she is a powerhouse, his daughter. I'm sure he is happy from beyond with what she has accomplished. But repeatable sound bites are, if they're done right, they're effective. So they can be annoying if you don't use them the right way. For instance, and I hate to bring this up, but last year's Super Bowl, Puppy Monkey Baby. If anyone remembers that, Puppy Monkey Baby. And that was said over and over and over again, and it got into your head. It was a little annoying, but at the same time, it was effective because it stuck in your head. In a little while, I'm going to talk about Simon Sinek, and I sent out that TED on Monday. Did I send it on Monday? I think I sent it out Tuesday morning. It's a TED Talk with Simon Sinek, and he repeats the phrase, it's not what you do, it's why you do it. And I model the feedback for your plans around that concept, around the concept of the golden circle. So, but it's effective. It's effective on how he does it. It's not just repeated over and over in annoyance. It's actually to tie the pillars or the pivotal moments in his presentation back to his main message, and that's effective. And Jeremy, yes, I did. It was crazy, to say the least. It was crazy. I can't believe the turn of events. Okay, evocative visuals. Now, this is going to come more into play in week 3 when we talk about design. But there's so many things that you can do with visuals, and it depends on your choice. It could change the whole message of what you're trying to say just by your choice of the image. So just to give you example. Now, this is only text on the screen, and it says more than 2,000 tropical forest plants have been identified by scientists as having anti-cancer properties. What does that do for you? With it just being text on the screen. What kind of mindset do you get? What do you think of when you just see the text? No worries, Jeremy, that's what I'm here for. Okay, it's very factual. It's very cut and dry. It's a statement. It's making a statement. It's literal. Yes, definitely, Angel. It's literal. But then you put a picture behind it. So now you have this picture behind it, and it has the same information. More than 2,000 tropical forest plants have been identified by scientists as having an anti-cancer property. What does the image do for you? Or this particular image brings emotion into play. What else? Okay, I'll ask you, is this positive or negative? Positive, because now it's not just words saying that scientists are doing it, it's actually a scientist in the mix doing it. He's taking samples, and it's showing a proactivity. So it's not just words on a page, it's actually showing us this proactivity. It's more like a solution. I like that, yes. Then you put this image behind it. What does this do? First, positive and negative. It's distressing. That's a good word. negative. Okay? You almost see death here. You know, there's death. There's death in their first picture was being proactive in the rainforest, and here it's okay, well, in the name of science, living things are going away. So even though it is in the name of finding cures for cancer, it's killing natural wildlife. So depending on what your stance is or what the message is of the presentation, do you understand that the image choice that you choose can change the meaning or change the tone of the message? Does that make sense? Awesome. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. Knowing that your message, knowing your story, and choosing images that are going to complement what you say and not distract. Images that are going to evoke the emotions that you want to create in the room and not oppose them. Okay, emotive storytelling. This is something that you guys are already doing. You're already doing this in the discussion board for this week. You were asked to look at a piece of art depending on what genre it is. You know, we talked about how art is very abstract, that it could be all different things. It could be poetry, it could be a painting on the wall, it could be music, it could be dance, as long as you are connecting it back to Julian Treasure's Hale method. You can use it. So emotive storytelling is something that we do all of the time. You know, whether we're telling a story about what we did the night before, or we're reminiscing and talking about our past, or we're excited about something that is happening in the future. Emotive storytelling is something that we do very naturally as human beings. So George Takei, I don't know if you're familiar with this guy, but he is from Star Trek fame, and he's an activist. He's also been been through the ringer, for lack of a better word, with his travels um, to this country and actually belonging in this country. It's definitely worth a watch. I also shared that in the announcement that I sent out yesterday morning. But he does it very effective. There are pivotal points. There's changes in his story where it goes from all the different obstacles that he's gone through and how much he loves this country despite everything that he's been through. It's very motivational. It gets you to really think about how blessed we are as American citizens. It's very, especially what's going on right now, it gives you perspective. So I highly recommend that you go and watch this TED if you have a chance. Kenneth, find a way to draw in your audience, whatever way that you do it best. And that is going to be a star moment for you. And then we have shocking statistics. We all know this fellow, I hope. He'll come right out in any of his speeches and give you like numbers, and he'll let you know that, his products, that's where it's at, because look look at the statistics, look how successful. I mean, regardless of how you feel, there are still lines that wrap around a building for the brand new Apple product. Even if it's only been 3 months since the last one came out, there's still that demand and of wanting the newest technology when it comes to an Apple product. So he's built a brand that people connect to with longevity, with trust, with yeah, Jeremy, I really, he may be eccentric in some ways, and you may not agree with all his tactics, but he really is a genius and a visionary. When it comes down to brass tacks, he has this amazing mind. And one of his last interviews that I watched, he stated, I'm paraphrasing, but he stated that if you don't have passion, you will never know pure happiness. So he alludes having a passion for something and connects it to fulfilling happiness. And I feel like it's so true that if you are passionate about what you're doing, there is a drive like no other. That burning passion gives you motivation and drive, and it just comes out it starts from the tip of your toes and comes out your mouth. Uh, you know, uh, Going through your heart and then out your mouth. So it's something that he said that resonated with me for a long time, and it's so true. It's so true. Another thing that I almost expect, and maybe it's harsh for me to expect it, but one of the most effective star moments for me is using your craft. If you use your craft, you're putting your heart and your soul, and you're showing your audience your passion. So if your presentation is geared towards being the next producer, what should be in your presentation? If you want to be the next computer animator, what should be in your presentation? If you want to be a novelist or an activist or a filmmaker, what do you think needs to be in your presentation in order to illustrate your passion? Your craft. So put your craft into everything that you do. It's why you're here. You made this decision to be on this path and follow your dreams. Why shouldn't you make it a part of what you're doing, or a part of everything that you're doing? Okay, so Simon Sinek, he's another genius. He is amazing, and I sent out the link to his TED Talk, and I really recommend that you watch it, because although it's geared to marketing and business, it's so relevant into building your brand, and that's what you're doing. You're building your brand and you're presenting it to an audience member. And his golden circle is essential. It is the core of presentation. So how is this connected to what we've been learning from Nancy Duarte? Well, Nancy tells us about the effectiveness of a story, that beginning, middle, and end. Now, if you incorporate that into the golden circle that Simon Sinek talks about, you have your why, your how, and your what. So beginning, your why, your inspiration. First of all, your audience wants a purpose for being there. So ultimately, they want to know why you do what you do and why should they care and why should they pay attention. So your why is that hook. You need to hook people in and show them your passion right off the bat. So in Monday night session, we did an exercise called Brand Promise, where I had you think of what is your guarantee? What do you want to do with your craft and when you get out of here? And that really is, when it comes down to it, your why. And this discussion board this week, finding that inspiration, you will find your why. You will find that passion, that inspiration that sparked you to be on the current path. So in week 1, the first thing that I asked you to do was think about that moment that you realize, this is what I want to do. I want to make characters that are going to make people feel. I want to create music that makes people cry or laugh or recall memories and really be immersed in my music. I want to create film that leaves impressions on people's lives and changes perspective. So that is your why. That is your why. Your how naturally is going to come with researching your degree. And that's easy because when you first came to Full Sail to learn about what you want to do, you went to www.fullsail.edu and it brought you to this fantastic page to show you everything that is available here at Full Sail University. Well, I want you to take that a step further and look at the classes that you're going to encounter. So your qualifications is really all about what are you going to take advantage of when you are here. You're going to be subjected to wonderful programs. You will gain knowledge every step that you take. It's up to you on how you want to use that information. And you have the power to make it happen. You have the power to make it happen. If you want to learn the programs, if you want to be proactive on campus, if you want to have an internship, or even volunteer to do stuff in your community, this is your how. Although you're at the beginning stages and you're not there yet, my invitation to you is to get excited about what you're going to encounter and have confidence that your desire and your passion will make that happen, and you will do everything that you are capable of doing in order to obtain those skills and the knowledge. And all you need to do now is talk about it with the same confidence. Does that make sense? Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Also with your how, because we talk about showing, not telling. For example, you are a film student and you're questioning because you're like, Miss P, I don't really have that much experience right now. I don't really have a portfolio. And that's where you're going to be encountering here. But you really do. There's things that you have done whether you feel like it's minor or not, but there are things that you have accomplished that will show your proactivity and your desire for that industry skill. So just using film as the example, there might have been, like you might have been asked to film a football game when you were in high school. You might have been asked to do a video yearbook for the senior class. All of these things are maybe minor to you, but they're all things that show your how. They show the evolution of what you can do and what you're capable of. So there is nothing too big or too small at this point. You have nothing to lose. And it's just another way to illustrate to your audience the things that you can do. And how awesome will it be by the time that you get into your first portfolio class and have all these new skills to go in and look at this presentation and how far you come and make the changes. You know, change is inevitable. It's inevitable. It's supposed to happen. You're supposed to evolve and find out new things and have this awareness of your capabilities, and it just builds and builds and builds and builds. So I want you guys to let go of those reservations of, well, I'm only at the beginning, Miss V. I have nothing to offer. Nonsense. You have so much to offer that you don't even know it yet. I even watched some people on, and Angel is one of them, sorry. But we have some poets in here, and it's on the discussion board that they're sharing their poetry, they're sharing their craft. And you know, even though these are musings that you have done now, they're so important because it shows your mind, it shows your dedication, it shows your passion for what you set out to accomplish. And it's a beautiful thing. And then you have your what. Your what is ultimately what you want to accomplish when everything is said and done. So it's not only what you can do, it's what you need from them to make it happen. So it's a relationship. Remember that, yes, you are the mentor and they're the audience, but you're building a relationship. So it's what you could bring to the table and what you need from them. This is your call to action. This is your invitation to make a decision. So you'll restate your why and then give them a solid reason to move and make a decision. And this will make a little more sense as I go over the different options. Okay, so the first option, and I know some of you have read the instructions already, which is cool because I've asked you to be proactive and download the instructions and read and have questions, so that's awesome. So the first option is actually from the instructions. It's one avenue that you can go in. One thing about me is I'm going to push. I like to push you. I like to give you opportunity to think outside of the box and give you opportunity to try out new things and develop your strengths. So this first option is the most direct option that you can go. Is it the easiest? I don't think it's the easiest. I don't think it's this is an avenue that is very common. There's a lot of you that want to work for a company, that a company, you've been inspired by a company and want to work for them someday. So the hire me situation is what you have, and why I say it's so direct is you have a company. You can go and look them up and research them. Look up their mission statement. Look up their philosophy. Look up what they're about. Do you relate to their philosophy? Can you incorporate that into your own brand and bring something fresh to the table? So why I say this is direct is you can go right to a website, look up the company, and know exactly who you will be talking to. Look at who is the head of one of the departments that you want to work for, or a team of people within the company that you want to work with. Then you could look in the career page and look at different positions that are opening. What that does, it's exciting and it motivates you. So I told the little story about Telltale and how even though I was at the beginning of my program, it excited me that I went on their website, looked at the criteria they would need for a writer, and checked off that stuff when researching my degree and the very class that would give me the skills in order to fulfill that position. So it's exciting. Know the position that you want to fill, know the skills that you need to obtain and will have, because you are going to take advantage of all of it, especially in that class. And you will have pieces that you could put in your portfolio that satisfies that position. Make sense? Cool. Okay. The next one is join me. This is a different aspect or angle. The reason why I put education versus action is, yes, you want to inform your audience about the cause. Of course, they need something tangible to hang on to. But this is an invitation. This is an invitation to move your audience. That means a plan of action needs to be set in place. So you're not only educating about a cause and bringing awareness, you are coming up with a plan of action to get them to move and follow your movement. So the first way that you could approach this is that you have a cause that needs to happen. You have, something that needs to change. And you have this idea based on the path that you chose here at Full Sail and what you want to do with your craft in order to change something. So it's not only educating about this cause or giving awareness, it's a plan of action. And of course I use my girl Lara Croft because she's BA. So, mission statement and philosophy, absolutely. Oh my word, I have a lot of meetings coming up. Okay, let me close these so we don't have to pay attention, because we are closing on 11 o'clock and I want to make sure that you have what you need. Okay, Or the other way that you can go with this project is that you have an idea and you want to speak to a team of creatives. So for instance, you're a writer, but all you have written before is like novels or short stories. And you really have your heart set on your characters coming to the big screen, but you have no experience with script writing. You have the idea, you have the premise, you have the story, but you need people of other talents to come together as a team to make it happen. So with this, it could go several different ways. This could be an already existing company, and there is a team within the company that makes this stuff happen. Or you want to go the indie route, and you want to talk to an independent film company. Or if you're a gamer, you want to go towards an independent gaming company, and you have the story, the premise, but you need the coder, and you need the script writer, and you need the audio guy to do the dramatic music in the background or write the score. So this one is, you have an idea, but you need a team of people, and you understand that it's not only one person that can make this happen. Yes, Anthony, pitching ideas. So with this, you'll find that I've made, it's a very basic slide deck. But what it does is it gives you a breakdown of what you would need if you were doing a pitch. So it's not a pitch itself, but it gives you the content of what you should pay attention to when giving a pitch. Okay, so this is another choice. And the last choice is by me. It's awesome. Many of my students, past and present, want to build their own empire, and they want their own recording studio, or they want their own production company, or they want their own independent gaming company, which is amazing, and you should go after what you want to go after. But there's things that you have to realize. Whether or not you have to realize what position you are in at this very beginning. And unless you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and have the capital to put something like this together, then you need people. You need people to give you money. And if you happen to be that person that does have a silver spoon in their mouth, we need to talk, because I need a loan. So, with a buy me situation, if you ever watch the show Shark Tank, and if you are interested in this this idea, I recommend that you do watch an episode of Shark Tank, because it's really what is needed for a pitch like this. So by me, although every single choice that you make, whether it's hire me, join me, or buy me, ultimately it's you want your audience to move to make a decision. So all of them need to understand your why and your purpose, that they're all the same in that aspect. But a buy me situation wants numbers. They want to know what's at stake. They want to know, what is the return? What is my return on this investment ultimately? So this is a little bit more of a numbers game, and really knowing the cost of putting something together. So, the other two have the research in in a company and skills and job openings, or researching the educational aspect of a cause and how you could bring about a movement. This one is really numbers. It's a numbers game. I'm knowing how much it's going to cost and the risk and knowing all the different stakeholders. So knowing your audience in all three is extremely important because you need to adapt to the way that it needs to be delivered. Does that make sense? Sweet. Okay, so we have come to a little past 11 o'clock, and I will open it up if you guys have any questions. What I'm going to do just before I take questions is I'm going to go ahead and close the recording, and make sure that this is posted to your announcements and your email. I'm also going to give you a written breakdown of my interpretation of the golden circle. So it may look a little overwhelming with all the information, but it's going to help you with your plans, especially with organization. And if you keep in mind that why, how, and what, and you break down your ideas that way, you'll be set. You really will be set. So I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, I'll take a couple of questions on the recording. Maybe people at home will have the same. Okay. Each project we do, getting our skills better to present our brand and better our presentation of our brand. Yes, you want to show the audience what you're capable of, and understand that this is a work in progress, that you are at the very beginning stages of this whole journey, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be a negative obstacle. It could be an opportunity to grow and evolve and be excited about the decision that you made to come here. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Crystal, cool. Okay. Hi, Crystal. How are you?
I'm good. I typed it. Okay. What if you have writer's block and you just can't get out of it? You have the idea, but it's just like stuck. Cause that's my problem. My ideas get stuck when I try to write it down or say it.
Okay. What I went over in Monday night, and it's okay. This is okay. It's something that happens to me as well. But just know that the planning stages is getting it all down on paper. So if you're choosing different ideas, that's what I want you to do. I want you to put it all out there, and then allowing your instructors to guide you uh, with your strengths. Like, look at your plan objectively and give you that guidance to give you direction. So I call it a controlled chaos, and it's okay to just some of the things that I do is I'll sit there and just write and write and write and write, and sometimes it doesn't make sense until I reflect, but I try to get what I need to get out, even if it doesn't make sense. It will.
Okay. Thank you.
That made you feel better, I hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions? And thank you, Angel. All right, you guys have been awesome. Thank you for a really energetic send off. I feel confident that you know what you need to do. Know that this will be posted on the announcement so you can access it anytime throughout the week. I do encourage that you guys, because you came to the live session, I encourage you to use those skills to become the mentor and reach out to your peers if they're struggling, and give them that support. Let them know what you know, and it'll help you to improve your own presentations. So thank you for the well wishes. It's not supposed to snow until either late Wednesday tonight or into Thursday, so I should be good to go. I should have a nice flight. But I appreciate it. And you guys will rock this assignment. I totally have faith. And by the time I get back from vacation, it'll be you're starting to build your presentation. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm extremely excited to see all your ideas come to fruition. So awesome. Thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and the rest of your week. You'll find on the announcement both Kristen Henney and Danielle Graham. Those are two of my friends and colleagues. I actually had the pleasure of training them both. So they're pretty awesome. And if you do email, you can email them and you'll see responses coming from them. You're in good hands, guys, and I thank you again for coming this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day.